All right, so now that I have rolled my mesh, I'm going to put that away because I'm going to bring my swag to put those rolls in. And I like to work from the top to the bottom, so I'm going to move this guy right here. And basically you need to do, you know what you see everybody else do, so you just go from both sides. You roll both like this, and then you pinch in and you pinch in, and we're going to grab that and put it right here on the very top. Now remember, it doesn't matter what you're doing. What happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down, and what goes out always comes in. If you remember these rules, you guys, that I basically came up with as I was learning floral design, well, you're always going to have an absolutely beautiful wreath. So basically like this, and then you want to zigzag them in, and then you want to do like one up, one down. I'll show you in a second, because that's going to create a lot more texture than if you're trying to put them all flat. So I'm going to continue to add this mesh, and as I do that, I want to tell you how excited I am. Like I was telling you, that you joined this group because this is where everything's going to happen for Christmas, you guys. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm gonna tell you a secret here. We're moving away from it. And so you're the first ones to know. And so that's why I came up with this group, and everything that is fun and exciting is going to be happening here at Ramon at Home Masterclass. Hello everyone. So I am editing this week's video, and this is just a reminder of these are the type of DIYs that you can find inside my group on Ramon at Home Masterclass. If you want to learn how to make swags like these, wreaths, garlands, decorate Christmas trees for the winter season, and do home decorating, be sure to join me on my masterclass. I hope to see you there. So if you obviously join the group, then you're gonna have first access to everything that we do. Of course, we also have the main page, which is, I'm sure you know, where like most of the lives and all the shopping hauls are done, but the main goal is to do it all here inside this group. So I just want to say thank you for joining, and I promise you it's going to be a lot of fun, because I like, you know, I have this saying that I like to say, go big or go home. There's three of them: go big or go home. When you think you're done, double it. So that's how you make it fabulous. And it's not done till it's overdone. So of course we like to do things big here on the channel, but you know, it's for a reason. My very first passion is to teach, and when you're teaching, you have to do things in a grander way. You have to do things in a more lavish way and an exaggerated way. Why? Well, because you want it to really show, look how easy it is. If you have your containers and your bins, it is so much easier than having everything just scattered throughout the table. So as I was telling you, in order to teach, you have to do things bigger, because you have to explain things. And so just having these beautiful sayings that I came up with, then they help me to remind myself that I have to either go big or go home, because you are here to learn. And just when you think you're done, double it. That's something that I learned as I was working as a florist for so many years, you know, in the floral design, especially in weddings. You know, you don't want to have a bride who's complaining about their flowers not being lavish enough. And so that's why we always had a budget. Of course, when you have a budget, you buy all of the product with your budget, and then you want to make sure that you use all of the product, because number one, you don't want to be left with scraps of it, right? And so if you have, well, we had this rule that if we had extra, then we double it. We put all of the product in. Why? Because your customer already paid for it. So might as well just continue to add and make it even more lavish and beautiful. All right, so I'm just rolling away and talking too much probably, but if you know me, you know this is how it's going to go down. I love to talk. As I was telling you, I love to teach. It is my first passion. I truly believe that I was born to be a teacher. I was, however, not a book person. So, and then I fell in love with design and floral design. And I've always been an artsy person since I was a kid. And so I do believe that I was born to do something like this. And so now that I get to teach you here on the platform, I get to live my dream, right? All right, so far, well, let me add the last one, and I'm gonna add it at the very top. We want to leave the bottom uncovered, so that way we can attach to it. But we're basically doing the same thing that everybody else does. Nothing new. The only thing that I would recommend is that when you add your barrels, just go in a zigzag motion, and then we're gonna put it right here back onto the hanger, and then you can spruce it up and fluff. And see, because we put one in, one out, one in, one out, you can really see these barrels, and they look absolutely beautiful. all the way down. All right, so that's gonna look like. Now, let me disappear for a second. I'm gonna grab my pumpkins, and here's what I did. Now, I have to get me a wire, and I'm always telling you that you have to have all of your tools at the ready. That is the best way to work. Why? Because in order to wire this ornament or this pumpkin, I used a 22 gauge wire, and you wanna use this to poke through the fabric and to poke through the styrofoam, and you want to go ahead like do this real number, making sure that when you poke, like you go in the walls of that and you kind of make a hole inside, you can probably hear it. The reason why you want to do this is to basically pre-hole your pumpkin, and then we're going to insert a thinner wire, which is what we're going to use to attach, and you should not have any problems poking the thinner wire. Obviously, if you try to poke the thin wire first, you're gonna continue to bend it, but because we use the thicker one, look, it is so easy. And so this is what we're going to use to attach our pumpkins. I'm gonna put this away. So I also like to have a super clear table when I'm working. All right, you guys, so now I'm going to add my pumpkins to my swag, and I want one right here. There's going to be a bow right here. So I'm going to add the first one right about here. And this is the reason why you want a wire instead of gluing it. And I'm gonna have to go like this. Look, if you just take it off the stand and you come back out, you're gonna pull as tight as possible, and we're going to basically just swirl that wire around like this. Then we hide the wire. And there is your first pumpkin. You can manipulate it. Look, you can manipulate it. When you have it already glued, there's no way you can move it around. But when it's wire, you can move it. You can just give that wire a little bit of give, so that way you can really readjust. I'm going to put the next one kind of like tilting down. So I'm gonna use some of this mesh to cover my mechanic, and I'm going to go back and once again just pull really tight, and then swirl those wires together to create an attachment. And look at that. So now we have this absolutely beautiful, beautiful swag. So I'm gonna have to bring this swag up a little bit and the stand. So in order to do that, I'm going to swirl two of these ties together, and then I'm going to make sure that I bring it up so you guys can see everything that I'm doing. Look how pretty that is, right? These pumpkins were from the Burlington Co. factory, and I absolutely love them. I think they are perfect for this swag. And so now I'm going to bring some of my ribbons, my scissors, and a few wires. Oh, I think I had one over here, yeah. Look, you guys, I'm gonna show you my caddy of tools. And this cute, has all my zip ties, my black zip ties, a whole bunch of scissors, a few wire cutters, my hot glue sticks, and then my wire right here. And I like to have this really close to me, so I always like to have a little table where I put all of my tools right here. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that swivels around. Check this out. So you can really have all of your tools at the ready. So I have it over there, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bow. And I also want to mention that they sell these little packets of corsage pins, and I want to recommend you get yourself one of them because it will keep your ribbons together. So once you're done with your ribbons, all you have to do is put a corsage pin in there to secure it, so that way they're not unraveled. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this ribbon. This is a glitter ribbon, then also this beautiful pumpkin ribbon, and I'm going to do a 4-loop bow. But because I want my pumpkin pattern to show, I'm gonna have to cut it, because if I start the bow like this, they're going to be backwards. So you always have to make sure that you have the design facing forward. So I'm gonna cut probably about 3 yards of it. I'm gonna cut right here at the end of this pumpkin. And like I said, be sure, well, we're not done with it. So I'm gonna put this right here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my 4-inch ribbon, and I'm going to give it a dovetail. We always start our projects with a dovetail. So I want a smaller bow right here on the top. So what we're going to do is we're gonna do probably about 6 inches. And the way I like to do it is I fold it like a taco, and then I fold it again, and that creates a pleat right here. Then we fluff like this. Then I'm going to go down. I go down, and I fold like a taco again, and then I pleat, then I twist. Okay, so I'm going to fluff my bow. This is a beautiful D. Stevens ribbon, and I just absolutely love it. So I'm gonna stop at 2 loops, then I'm gonna bring my other ribbon with the beautiful pumpkins, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna fold right here like a taco, and I'm going to introduce my ribbon. And I always tell you that I like to dovetail as I go, because by the time I'm done with my bow, I'm already dovetailing. Sometimes we forget to dovetail, to go back and dovetail, and you do not want to send a beautiful swag or wreath to your customer with no dovetail. All right, so then we're going to bring this back up like this. So that's gonna give us 4 loops like this, and all you have to do is like play with it. Make sure that you bring that printed side forward. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this wire. I'm gonna wire all of this together, pushing that wire back really well, and then spinning it to attach your bow. So look, we're going to be left with this beautiful 4-loop bow, 2 tails, and we're going to attach this guy. I'm gonna open my door so I can not lose my ribbon. Once again, using this wire, wire is your enemy. My ex-boss used to say that there's nothing in this world we can fix with a 22 gauge wire, and I have to agree. So what we're going to do is we're gonna put it right here on the top, and we want to push as far down as possible. And so what you need to do is grab one of those bristles and twist one of your wires to it. And then you're gonna do the same with the other side. We're gonna go as far down, then we're gonna swirl it like this. And look at that, that just gives us 2 loops of each. And all you have to do is play with it, because we do want to make sure that all of this is showing beautifully like this. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop going down. So I'm gonna go ahead and first with a glitter one, and then the pumpkin on the top. I need to make sure that I unspin it around, like so. We're going to go like this, right where the pumpkins meet. We're going to fold like a taco, then pinch, and then we're going to grab 2 of these bristles. We're gonna twist them around, and so that's gonna give us that. And now we're gonna dovetail right here. And we want to make sure that this glitter one, it's a little bit longer. So we're going to dovetail right there. So that's the way I want them to hang. I'm gonna pick up my ribbon. And so now what I'm going to do, because I love the way this looks, I'm going to do the same, but now I need to cut more of this ribbon. Remember, we don't want to, we want to have those pumpkins facing down. So the way we're going to do that is by cutting some ribbon, and then remember to, once you're done with your ribbon, be sure to put that corsage pin in, so that way it doesn't unravel. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to once again dovetail this beautiful glitter ribbon like this, fold it in half, and we're going to do a smaller loop now. I gotta tell you a secret, I cut myself on this thumb right here, so it really is becoming really hard to pinch right now, but I'm doing my best. For this particular bow, you guys, because we wanted the bigger loop on the top, what I'm going to do is just a single loop bow, and so we're going to once again introduce this pumpkin bow, and we're going to go the opposite. So basically you fold in half, you bring it up, and so that's gonna give us this. I'm gonna grab another wire from my stash of wires right here, and I'm going to go back and wire this together very tightly. Once we have it wired tightly, you have to dovetail all of your wires like this, and then we fluff, making sure that all of this beautiful design and the glitter come forward. It's all about the finessing, and look how cute this is. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this right here. So I'm going to go grab one of my bristles, and you're going to just swirl it. And so that's gonna leave you with this 2-loop bow making sure that I bring those pumpkins down. And so I'm gonna grab this glitter one and I'm going to pinch, make a loop and pinch. And we're going to attach right here. And then we're going to dovetail, a longer dovetail, because when it's on the bottom, I like to have a long dovetail so it plays with the air when it's hanging on the door. All right. Like this, and this one I'm going to cut short. So there's some loops and some tails. I love this. This needs to be a little shorter. Once you're done cutting, you can always readjust all of your dovetails and your bows and your ribbons and all those things. So now I'm gonna show you a trick. I love this, but I feel like we need more of these ribbons. So once again, I'm going to bring this right here and I'm going to do single loop bows and I'm gonna start by dovetailing. So the way, this is when it gets really fast. Applying this bigger ribbon, it's the difficult part, but basically what you want to do is bring about an, I wanna say about 6-inch tail, and we're going to do a few bows, like 2 loop bows, like this, and then you grab your wire, and we wire this together, and we're going to dovetail, like this. And so now we want to go ahead and put this bow right here. Just swirl it into the, and look, that gives us extra tails. So I'm gonna do one right here, and then I'm gonna come down, and I'm going to do one right here. So remember, what goes up must come down. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring our bow, make a tail, do a 2-loop bow, like this, about 6 inches. And remember, you guys, those tails don't have to be the exact same length. I like it better when it's not, because it looks more layered than if you try to make it perfect. To me personally, I think it looks more beautiful when the bows are imperfect, because nothing in this world is perfect. So I don't like to see those bows are like really symmetrical and perfect. I find more beauty I find more beauty in the imperfection of it all. So I'm going to attach this guy right here by just swirling that wire into my form. This one's still too long for me, so I'm gonna cut even a little further. There we go. All right, so this is what it looks like so far. Let me take it off the stand so I can show you. Look how tall this got, you guys, and we're not even started with the greenery. So we're gonna make sure that we hang this back onto our stand so we can continue to work on it. This is so pretty so far. Look at that. All right, and we are back, and so I'm gonna start by adding some foliages. This is, like I said, when it's gonna start to get pretty because it starts to fill in. And I also love this right here. It's almost like a baby's breath. This is from David Christopher's, and I'm gonna use maybe 2 or 3, but if you know me, you know that I like to cut it all at once, like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. We're gonna cut 2 of them. Remember, these are from David Christopher's, and you guys get 10% off at David Christopher's. If you go to shop David Christopher's and use the code Ramon10, you can get 10% off of all of their items. So they are our friends, and they agreed to give you 10% off on any items that you may use from them. Also, I'm gonna use some of these beautiful beige daisies. These are from Hobby Lobby. Oh my goodness. And I just pre-cut them because I think this will be so pretty with it. And I'm gonna have some daisy mums also pre-cut. These are from the at-home store. I absolutely adore. And then we're gonna have some foliage that is this oak. So you know what, I'm gonna start with the oak first. And I like to, like I said, contain everything on a little basket. And I always also like to clean as I go, because I don't know, I'm just a freak like that, and I like a clean table. So, all right, so let's get started. So let's add some of these beautiful foliage. And I'm gonna give you a secret, you guys. This foliage is actually from the dollar store. You never ever discriminate your foliages because it's part of your mechanics, right? So when you are using, and I'm always telling you that when you are looking for mechanics, look for the least expensive mechanics you can find, because you're not gonna see much of it anyways. So when it comes down to your mesh and some of your foliages, unless they're protruding out, then you might want to look for something less affordable, because that's how you're going to make money. If you're making this for sale, you want to cut some of those corners by looking for some inexpensive foliages. Now, if they're going to be seen, don't get me wrong, you do want to find some really beautiful foliages. That I have some beautiful foliages that I got actually for some content creators here online. And so, but when it comes down to like filling in gaps, be sure to just save some corners, because you're going to be able to make more of your money and more of your revenue by doing that. If it is going to be a showpiece, spend the money like on the ribbon, on the pumpkins. But if it is just some filler item, I'm going to tell you, with the first one to tell you and to encourage you to use that. All right, so I'm just using some of my glue sticks, and remember, what goes up must come down. I want this to really fly out and start to fill in some of this, and you have to go all the way down, okay? We're gonna put some down, and I'm gonna grab a few more. Look, they're starting to make it look like fall, and I just absolutely love this color combination right here for fall. I love traditionals, and we are doing some traditionals for Halloween, for fall. But to me, for like a glam look, this more natural look, it's what I like. And so I'm just adding some of this, and remember, what goes up must come down. What happens on the right happens on the left, and just remember that, and I promise you, you will have a beautifully balanced wreath. All right, so now I'm going to move on to some of these right here from David Christopher's, and I just love the wispiness of it. So I'm gonna grab some and add some glue, and this is going to also give us a lot of texture. Look at that. Just by adding a little bit of glue to my stems is going to really make it look absolutely stunning. Okay, so we're gonna continue to work our way down, and at this point I like to just work in a zigzag, and don't forget to do something with the joints of your pumpkins to cover some of those mechanics as well. Okay, so throw some of that glue in here. I'm gonna go in here like that and go all the way around the perimeter of your swag or your wreath. So we're gonna lift up some of those barrels of mesh. Thumbs up or leave me a comment if you are enjoying these classes, you guys. I'm having so much fun, especially with the lives. I love talking to you live, and I just think it is so much fun. And remember that we're posting the schedule at least once a month in order to let you know what we're doing for the channel. So be sure to tune in. All right, so I'm going to continue to add some of this. This is what I call my flyaway, and I'm going to leave some for the end because there's a few more elements we're going to add, but I do want to make sure that I add some of this behind the pumpkin so they can serve as a highlighter. So I'm gonna put some glue in here and like this. Now, I have to explain something mechanical. When you are doing this, you guys, everything from here down, because this is where our bow is, has to radiate down, and from here up, it has to radiate up. That is the way we're going to balance our swag, and that's just the way things grow in nature. So when you are making sure that you're putting some of this right here, look at that, to cascade down, all the way down. And then from the bow up, we want to make sure that we do it up, like that. And we have a few more. So I'm gonna make sure that I add them. I'm gonna add one right here, like that. See how they're cascading down? It's looking so beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna add yet another one. Let's see, where do I need another one? Probably right here, like that. I have still some more that I'm going to add towards the end, so I save a whole package to save for the end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring some of these beautiful daisies, and these come with this foliage. However, I don't think the foliage, well, I might use it, you know. That's the beauty of design, is just letting your eye dictate where the things need to go. But I think I'm gonna start with this guy right here. So I'm gonna cut it short like this. And remember to always give it a little bit of a curvature, and then add some glue right here. And I'm going to add this one right here. and I want to work in an S motion. So I'm going to add the biggest one right here to the side. And I'm gonna cut this, and always like try to cut when it has foliage, try to cut right at the edge of the foliage, so that way you can use those stems like this. See, now I have two foliages and I can just cut them like that, and that'll give me foliage. Let me do it one more time. So you wanna cut right at the edge where that foliage starts, so you're left with a foliage stem, and then right here, like that, so you're left with a foliage stem. Does this one have any? Oh yeah, this does. So we're just gonna use the flowers for now. So we want to cut these foliages short, so that way we can use them on our swag. And I decided right now as I speak that I am going to go ahead and use them, and I'll show you how. All right, so we're gonna start right here. Then I'm going to add one of these florals over on this side. Right here, like that. Perfect. Then I'm gonna move over to this side. Remember, we're working in an S motion. So I'm gonna bring this guy right here. I'm gonna move some of the mesh like that. And the tiny little one, I'm gonna put all the way at the bottom facing up. Because remember, what goes up must all the way down. So I'm gonna add this guy right here. Perfect. And so that's beautiful so far. However, I do have this minimum spray that I cannot tell you how obsessed I am with this minimum spray. Let me clear my area right here. Look how cute, you guys. It has a grass, it has a spray. I don't know that I want the grass because it's just not the vibe. So go ahead and take them all out at once. Now I pre-cut this guy, but sometimes they come with that knobby part at the end, and just have to cut it to get that grass out, but no problem. What is your favorite time of the year to design? I have to tell you, as much as I love Christmas, and God knows I do, but I love fall, you guys. Fall time of the year to me is the best time of the year. The smells and the colors and the flavors of fall are just so exquisite to me. I used to live in the Midwest, and it snowed, and you know, in the spring you look forward to summer. Summer's finally here, the pools will open. Then in summer it gets so hot that you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for fall. Fall is almost here. And then in fall, you know, the fall is coming, or the Christmas is coming, and you're just waiting for it, right? So I love that about the Midwest. All right, so now that we're left with our minimums, we're going to pick, look how pretty, this one has a grass, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. We're gonna give it a little bit of a curvature. Remember, giving it that curvature is what's going to help you have more of a give. So I'm gonna start right here. And at this point, these are our flyaways. And remember, when you're doing your flyaways, you forget about all of the rules that we just made up, and we just keep going. Look how pretty. But what I want you to remember is that from here down is going to face down, and from here up, they need to go up. So we're going to go right here, do one right here. Make sure that you really push it in. Look how pretty. They're just cascading all the way down. These taller ones, I always tell you to, ooh, I almost burned myself. These taller ones, I always tell you to keep for the top, like right here. So that way they really show, because you have to have that element all the way from the top to the bottom. That is not a question. Okay, I'm gonna add one right here, like this. Remember, I want them to really fly away, and the way you do that is by, instead of doing it straight, you give it that little bit of a bend, and it goes forward, and then from the bend down, that's where you want to apply the glue, and that's how much you want to insert into your design. And then from the bend up, that's where you're going to let it fly away. And remember, what happens on the right happens on the left, so that means that we have to have the materials all the way throughout our swag. There is no question about that. What happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. I'm gonna add one right here, like that. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna continue working all the way down. What do you think, Jamison?
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? You guys wanna say hi to Jamison? Come over here, say hi. So Jamison's been working behind the cameras, you guys.
Back in action.
He's back in action. He's officially joined the team, so we're super excited to be bringing you all of these DIYs.
Yes, we have lots and lots and lots, and even more lots of things to do. We have multiple pages and multiple books to keep us in line and organized, so I am so excited.
All right.
Let's go.
Thank you, thank you. Give it up for Jameson. Yay. Okay. So now I'm going to bring my, oh, let me see. Where do I need? I probably need one right here. Like that. So we're cascading. Remember to cascade all the way down. And I feel like we need one right here. So we're going to add yet another one. Like that. Going to add right there. How pretty, you guys. This is so elegant, so pretty. All right, so let's see. What do I have left to add? I have one of these fuzzies from David Christopher's. Like I told you, I also love this right here. So we're going to cut it all at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has 7 cuts. And I just love it. And at this point, this is going to be a filler. So we have to just fill in all of those spots that need filling, like right here. I want to add one right about here. Because remember, we have to create that 3D motion. And the way you do that is by continue to add forward. Like this one right here also needs one. So I'm going to add one. And then when you want to really make it fly away, you can face them down like this. Instead of poking up, you can poke up. I'm sorry, instead of poking up, you can poke down. And that's also really going to make it fly away. Right, I'm gonna add one right here. And it's, at this point, it's just about filling in all of those spots. Like right here, I want to add another one. And to make them really come forward, but without covering those pumpkins, because those are the showstoppers. I'm gonna go over to this side. And I'm going to add one right here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. They say stop while you're ahead. But remember, we said when you're done, double it. So I have these foliages, and I think I'm going to add a few of them. I do like them a lot. So let's see, where do I want to poke one? I think, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And I always tell you this. Every time there's a flower, there has to be some foliage native to that flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one by each flower. Look at that. See how that just added an extra layer of greenery, and it will support your flower. You know, flowers don't grow without foliage. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach it right there. And also make sure that they go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and facing, alternating almost like a step ladder motion. So if this one went to the right, this one went to the left, this one has to come to the right, like that. And we continue to work all the way up. This one's gonna have to come this way. And that also is gonna create some balance. See how this one went to the left, to the right? This one has to come to the left, like this. And that brings that little touch of greenery. Then on the very top, I think I'm gonna add one on the very top, or 2 on the top. So we're gonna add one facing this way, like that, ow, ow, ow. And then the other one facing the other way, over on this side. And so that brings us that little natural look. So I'm gonna give this a fluff, put it on the door, and show you the end result. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so I thought I was done, but you know what I tell you, when you think you're done, double it, and it's not done till it's overdone. So I did find some of these champagne ferns that I want to add to this swag. And I'm gonna start right here on the top. Look at that, that's just going to extend the shape this much further. Now I have 6. And so I have to be cautious of that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of them at an angle like this to make even more. So I have this one. What you want to do is go ahead and take some of these foliages to give you yourself a pick, especially if you are inserting on a grapevine. So I'm gonna start right here where I put this foliage. Also, look at that. That's going to continue to give us that balance. Now I'm going to do that step ladder motion. Remember, up, down, left, right. It's almost like you're playing a video game. Up, down, right, left, right. So I'm gonna add a little bit of glue, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So I put this one right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this one over on this side, like this, and then move over to this side. You don't even really need many, but what you do need is to be conscious that you're doing that. So that way you're not left with a whole bunch of it on the top, and then just a few on the bottom. So be sure to count your stems. I knew from the very beginning I had 6, so this is the way that I like to do. And I like to go under the foliage. So now I'm going to add one to the very bottom, and I'm going to make it a little bit short because I want it to be pointy. And that's what I like about these little ferns with glitter. Look, you can just pull on them, cut a little bit of it, put some glue. Now I might have to disappear for a second to put it right here, like this. And I have one left, so I put one on that side. I'm going to put another one on the top. However, I want to explain something to you. When you're about to do two, if you put them like this, they're going to look like antennas. So what you need to do is you need to give it a little bit of a twist, like this, and kind of make them go the same way. Don't put them like this, put them more like this. So that way they're going to start to look intentional going all the way down. All right, so that's one tip. The next tip I want to give you is every time you hang a wreath on your door, be sure to cover your wreath hanger with a piece of ribbon. Always save some ribbon that you're using to cover your wreath hanger all the way to the top. Make a straight line, unlike this one. And that's what's going to make your wreath look finished on the door. So now I'm going to put it on the door and show you what it looks like. Keep watching. And here's the end result of this beautiful fall swag. You guys, check out these pumpkins. Isn't that just absolutely gorgeous? All of the glitter and the beautiful flyaways right here, and all of this glitter. It is absolutely gorgeous for fall. I just absolutely love the way this turned out. And also I want to point out this ribbon with the pumpkins. It is so pretty layered on that glitter ribbon. I really hope that you learned a few tips and tricks on how to create a beautiful swag for fall with neutral colors.